Yeah, so let's get reaction to all of this taking place. We're joined live now by Foreign Affairs analyst Andrei Schwartz for more on the escalating conflict between Iran and Israel. Andrei, a good evening to you. Thank you so much for joining us. I know you're in Prague. I'm not sure what the time would be there. But I think let's start off with what we saw just within the past few hours, that explosion at the Arab broadcaster, a live broadcast interrupted. We do understand that broadcasting has resumed, but what do you make of that moment, the strategy being used by both parties as tensions escalate, certainly on the part of Israel, allegedly bombing a broadcaster?
Thank you so much, Naledi, for having me on your show. It's a pleasure to be in Africa, at least in this way. Yes, we've seen anxiously this escalation happening, and we've understood that Israel, based on the report from the international body in charge of inspections and maintaining the nuclear balance in the world and non-proliferation in the nuclear sphere, the IAEA. So based on reporting from there, we understand that Iran was reaching the level where they would be ready to weaponize uranium. So past the levels of 20% and certainly past the levels used in civilian reactors at 3% plus. So 60% and plus with 400 kilograms obtained according to the IAEA report, of which about a third over the last 3 months. So an acceleration in Iran's determination to break out towards a bomb, and not only to a bomb, but really based on the amount of uranium enriched almost to the level of weapons grade. So at 90%, it was enough for 9 nuclear bombs. What we also know is that Iran has in excess of 3,000 ballistic missiles. Again, these are the 2 main components of being able to lob nuclear devices onto Israel. So a ballistic missile, the means of propulsion, and then the nuclear warhead, which contains weapons-grade uranium. The Iranian regime has made no secret, almost since the revolution of 1979, that this is their primary foreign affairs policy, the one which aims towards the destruction of a fellow member of the family of nations, a country with which it doesn't share any border, and it doesn't share any historical tension, really. Israel and Iran in the past had a collaboration in the field of agriculture, water treatment, you name it. And as such, this has come as a shock, and over the decades, Israelis have understood that they have to take this seriously. The moment Iran has both the desire to destroy it, and then it rapidly reaches the means towards that goal being attained, you have to believe your sworn enemy, and it's a unilateral. We have to, I have to re-emphasize upon that. It's a unilateral Iranian obsession towards the destruction of Israel. Israel doesn't have the same goal towards Iran, and neither does it have towards any other nation. It starts from the education, like with anything in life, in any country of the world. After the revolution, sadly, instead of the revolution bringing about a better, more cohesive, better from an opportunity point of view, society for all in Iran, we've seen a regime which was corrupt being replaced with one which was more brutal in the way and more corrupt in the way it governed. And it started re-educating the population towards, one of these goals being the destruction of, again, the only Jewish nation in the world, one hosting about 9 million people, of which 20% are Arabs, the majority of whom are Muslim.
Yeah, so look, I mean, there's a lot to unpack, and you've said a mouthful. But just because you've started with the nuclear discussion, perhaps we stay on that, because what you do have at the moment is Iran simply denying that they're seeking nuclear weapons. In fact, going as far as saying that they do want to hold on to their right, though, to develop nuclear technology, they say, for peaceful purposes. And I mean, it's hard to not look at that and then, of course, ask questions around Israel's nuclear capabilities at this point, understanding, of course, that Israel is not part of that non-proliferation treaty. So how do we answer the question of nuclear capacity in Israel and how that looks at the moment?
Absolutely. So on the first part of your question, the claim by the Iranian regime that it seeks only a nuclear energy capacity. Well, again, it doesn't explain the need for highly enriched uranium, which, according to the IAEA, the UN bodies, the IAEA's report of last week, we've seen it's clearly not the case. So they have hundreds of kilograms of this 60% enriched uranium, and in a matter of a couple of days, they could reach 90% uranium. Now, also the Natanz facility, which is one of the main facilities for centrifuges, they have their space for about 5,000 centrifuges, from what I understand. Again, not even nuclear powers such as India, Pakistan, and others have such a huge amount of centrifuges. It's clearly designed not for peaceful energy for the population means, but rather for a massive, not just a signal to the world, but a massive creation of ordnance with nuclear warheads, and couple that with the stated intention by the regime, from the Ayatollah to presidents to the military leaders, of destroying Israel. Israel had to take action, Israel would consider, and many others in the community of nations would agree. Now, Israel is rumored, they deny it, is rumored to have nuclear capacity and to have it for decades already. The fact that if they have it, they've been so responsible with it in the face of multiple wars launched upon the tiny nation of Israel, which is about the 55th part of the size of South Africa and 85th of what Iran is. So the proportion, Iran is 85 times larger than the state of Israel, just for your viewers to get a sense for that. Israel has been so responsible not to even threaten its enemies with this capacity. I think this speaks a lot about the intent, which is one of maintaining the survival of the, again, only Jewish nation in the world.
Yeah, I want to go back to this is the breaking news that we covered just a few hours ago. If you had seen that video of the broadcast that is live, the state broadcaster in Iran, that attack, and we're running some of the visuals now. I mean, what you see is a news anchor, trying to do her job amid all of this noise and explosion, and then at some point just being forced to run off of the set. I mean, your thoughts when you watched that? Sure. What did you make of that?
Yeah. So mixed emotions, Naledi. I mean, I go on TV on the other side of the screen than you do, but mixed emotions. I'll say a few things. One, Israel apparently gave advance notice to the inhabitants of Tehran Sector 3, in which this facility, this media facility is located, to evacuate because they are going to strike there. This is one element. The other one is that the defense minister of Israel has mentioned that this facility also has dual purpose. It's not only a broadcaster, but apparently there are other elements there, I guess antennas or perhaps other elements, he didn't elaborate, which are for military purposes. And the third one, look, on your TV station or on others that I go on across Europe or other parts of the world, we do not incite, we are not part of the apparatus of incitement of a regime, of a dictatorial regime towards other nations. It reminded me of the radio stations of the German Nazi regime, which were targeted during the Holocaust, during the Second World War. Again, mixed emotions from my part. I think the main target should be those that Israel started with, which are the nuclear facilities and also any military elements. And Israel has continued also today to hit missile launchers, mobile missile launchers, which have wreaked havoc in Israel over the last days by indiscriminately hitting into civilian neighborhoods and killing children and women and men, including, as I was mentioning before, including Arabs in the north of Israel, next to the city of Haifa, a family of Israelis of Arab origin, Christians in this case. Look, it's an asymmetric war. It's one between a country which was dedicating efforts, instead of supporting its population into having a better today and tomorrow, into destroying others. And it's not only Israel. The Arab nations of the Middle East are not so secretly very content with Israel's action against Iran, because the dictatorship in Tehran is not a simple dictatorship. Yeah. Let's put it this way. It's ideologically motivated, and the ideology they have tells them to destroy also the Sunni Muslim nations, which is why Saudi Arabia, the UAE, and others have been very fearful. And actually, Saudi Arabia and Iran have been engaged in war, as you remember, in the last years in Yemen, and also directly, Iran has hit the oil fields in Saudi Arabia multiple times from Yemen and from Iran. So people also in Iran, I think this is very important to mention, many people in Iran and dissidents who fought the dictatorship and who survived it and who are abroad are very content. People like a lady who's taken refuge in the US, Masih Alinejad, have spoken out in support of the Israeli hits against the regime. And also people in Ukraine are very happy, and the government of Ukraine, because Iran has been supplying Russia, as you know, with ballistic missiles and also with drones, which have killed countless Ukrainians over the last 3+ years. So many people in different parts of the world are very happy, including in Iran. And this is one big question mark, isn't it? Which is, will the uprisings of the past decades in Iran, will they repeat at a much larger scale if people feel that the government has been weakened and the people can reclaim the power? This is really the question for many in Iran.
Yeah, Andrei, let me squeeze one last question in, because I am out of time. But in fact, what I'll do is I want to pack two questions in there. You've got reports that Iran is signaling that it would like to resume talks. I mean, how do you see that playing out, and what needs to happen as briefly as you possibly can? And then you've touched on the international community. South Africa, obviously, one of the more outspoken nations on the globe, which you think should be heard from our own shores.
So on Iran's quiet claims now that they want to go back to the negotiating table, I think Donald Trump, this is music to the ears of the US president, as it was when Vladimir Putin has signaled that he would like to embark upon negotiations. I think Donald Trump, who's he's a clever guy. I think he understands, together with the intelligence that the U.S. Is able to gather from the Kremlin, and in this case from the presidential palace and from the office of the Ayatollah. He gets it when he feels that he's strung along. And with the Iranians, again, it feels like it's a tactic to just delay any military action. And to break out towards a bomb. And the way that they will break out towards a bomb, because they are such an irrational regime based on religious eschatological beliefs of the afterlife, of the bringing of the Messiah, the Mahdi, via any means, is that they will not simply announce to the nations of the world, we are also a nuclear power, and from now on we are a stronger, in a stronger negotiating place, but rather that in a morning, like on the 7th of October 2023, Israel will be woken up not by the rapes and murders, and I'm sorry to your viewers for using these words, but this is what happened, and the kidnapping and the torture of the people of the south of Israel, but rather with explosions over over Israel, which will destroy the Jewish state, the only Jewish state.
Just briefly, South Africa, yes.
Yes, so South Africa, again, I'm not an expert in Africa. I love South Africa from what friends there have told me, and I've met people there. I think South Africa has a much better future ahead. It has built a much better present over the last decades, obviously, after the apartheid regime fell. And I think it needs to calibrate much better between political ambitions and pressures and also morality. And I think there are many other issues in the world, including in Africa, which have gone under the radar, from my perspective, for the government there, for no reason at all. The massacres in Sudan, in Syria, in Ukraine, etc. South Africa should have been outspoken on all of these or on none. But this is not, whataboutism about Gaza. I think it's terrible there. I think that the Hamas regime, the terror regime there with the others, the Islamic Jihad group, should release the hostages. They hold bodies of hostages, and they hold about 20 living Israelis. They should do that. They should disarm, and this will be the end of the situation there, which is terrible.
All right. Andrei, we appreciate your time. Thank you so much for sharing your perspective with us. Andrei Schwartz, the Foreign Affairs Analyst. And in fact, we're going to continue getting analysis on this as well. We'll also speak to Aisha Kaji in a moment as we continue to look at the growing and escalating tensions between Iran and Israel.